I always look at two things. Whatever let's say the goal is becoming rich. There's two parts of this. There's this limiting beliefs you have about yourself about being rich. And then there's the negative beliefs you have about the achievement. So both of those are in the mind. So think about like limiting beliefs is like, well, I can't do this. I've never done this before. And I know the person has those beliefs if I hear the language. And you know what I'm talking about. It's language like could, should, it'd be nice.
Right. Want to. Yeah.
Yeah. That language has the expectation of failure built into it. So that's the limitation beliefs. And then on the other side of the coin of the outcome is the negative belief. So what's the negative beliefs that keeps people broke? The rich people are evil. There's no chance you're going to wake up to try to be rich if you believe rich people are evil, or rich people don't pay taxes, or rich people took advantage of somebody, or rich people are unhappy.
Because if you believe rich people are evil, you don't want to become that belief of evil.
If I held a knife to your throat and said, step forward, you'd be like, well, I don't want to step forward because I'll hurt myself. It's like, yeah, so you'll never push for the goal if you think the outcome is negative. So until we work through those beliefs, that's what I call self-sabotage. The biggest work I do with entrepreneurs is understanding what are the unconscious beliefs they have that are literally self-sabotaging their progress to winning.
What are the beliefs that most people have around money that are holding them back then? Is it that money's bad, or people with money are takers, or what is it?
Yeah, I think it's anything negative. So, I mean, I know I had money beliefs around. I had this crazy belief that everybody had to go bankrupt.
That everyone had to?
If you want to be successful.
Really?
It was this weird belief that I read Donald Trump's book, and I read a bunch of other people's books. And when you look at the history, they all talk about like, you know, if you're really trying, you're taking risks, and at some point you'll probably go bankrupt. So get used to it. So like, well, if I have that belief, how hard am I going to push to try to be successful if I've got a young family and I'm trying not to create pain in their life?
Yes.
So that one kept me playing small for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah. The other belief is, you know, what will other people in my family say?
If I have money?
Oh my gosh.
Do you ever feel guilty about the money you have?
I felt so guilty, Louis. You've known me for a long time. I didn't tell anybody I had money. I was quiet about it. I didn't allow myself to buy anything nice until I was 30. I made my first million at 27, multimillionaire at 28, and it wasn't until I was 36 I allowed myself to buy a McLaren.
Dude, it's so funny you say this.
Isn't that crazy?
What's so funny you say this because I still don't really buy myself anything. I mean, I bought a nice home.
You bought a beautiful home.
I'm buying like, you know, I'm not buying things to like show off that I have money though.
Yeah.
Like I don't showcase my home. I'm not like taking photos of it and posting it online and like, look at me. My friend got me a Rolex for my 40th birthday last year. I think I've worn it like 7 times. Because part of me is still kind of like, should I be wearing this?
Talk to me about that.
You know, part of it is not my style. Yeah. You know, I don't like
that's fair.
You know, part of it's like I just wear the same black thing, just like you're wearing a black blue t-shirt.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's part of it. The other part of it is, you know, I don't want to reject money coming my way by not wearing it, but it's also like, how are people going to, are they going to judge me? Are they going to want more from me? Are they going to be thinking I should be doing more? It's just like, do I want to attract some type of judgment that is unnecessary? I don't know. It's kind of a lot of that.
Well, and that is it. So you said a few things that I just want to kind of pull up to the surface. Is one of them is I'm worried if they expect me to do more. A lot of people don't want to call their shot or live a bigger life because then that becomes the new floor they got to live into. So that's a fascinating one. It's like, well, I don't want to create wealth because then I have to maintain that. And if I lose, then people will visually publicly see me rise and fall.
Yeah.
That holds a lot of people back.
I'm not afraid of the rise and fall because I've been in the bottom.
But it's the judgment around. Yes, 100%. And like for me, it was, what would my family say? Like, oh, you're too cool for us now? Why did you get that kind of car? I remember, dude, I got the car.
Especially Canadian. You guys
it was the only McLaren in the province I lived in. And I used to have to go to Montreal to get serviced.
Wow.
And I remember the first time I had it for almost 2 weeks. I didn't want anybody to know. It was in the garage. I wasn't even sure how I was going to like be with it. That was really weird. And I remember the first time I wanted to go to the gym and drive it with my wife. We went and worked out every day, you know, Renee, and she wouldn't come with me.
Why?
She took her car.
Why?
She didn't want to have to deal with what people were going to say.
Interesting.
So it's fascinating that like when people just kind of try on these ideas, like what would it mean to say, even a lot of my clients, I say, can you say I am ultra rich?
They can't say it.
Nope.
Why not?
I mean, everybody's got a personal story, but what does that mean? Why does saying the word ultra rich scare you, frustrate you, like the judgment? What is it? What does it mean to you? It's just words.
What do most ultra rich people say around why they can't own that they're uber wealthy by speaking about it?
I think there's a part of it that is, if I acknowledge it, then I'm different than other people, and they don't want anybody to think that they think they're better.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm that way, man. I don't want anybody to think that because I drive a certain car or fly around in my jet that I think I'm better than you. And you're the same way. Like, we don't, right? The reason I don't wear watches because I don't like it to get in the way. I appreciate beautiful things in design.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm definitely, when I first got the McLaren, I was worried that people would treat me different. And guess what? They did.
They do. They look at you differently.
Dude,
but is it
I remember
a good thing?
It was awesome. I mean, I showed up, I went and did a talk at a rehab center. I'll tell you why. So I pull up to I do a lot of work with troubled youth, and every kid immediately, like, they want to know what I have to say. Whereas before I'd show up in whatever car and then they'd be like, who is this guy? Isn't that fascinating? So, perception is reality. But yeah, people do treat you different. And sometimes if you are comfortable with it, you can use that to fast track conversations. And if you're not okay with it, then it can be a source of a lot of pain. And I think that's the mindset.
Who are the wealthiest people that you know that you respect based on how they live their life? And what are the things that they do that you respect the most about them?
Yeah, I'm going to say Gary Vee for sure.
I just interviewed him yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, Gary's...
What are the characteristics about the wealthy like Gary that you respect?
That he uses his money to create and to help other people. And I would aspire to always be that. And that's what it is. And I think that if you truly, it's like when people say, well, I don't need to be rich. And I'm like, cool, why don't you become rich? And then if you want to do good with it, then you can. Like, why wouldn't you accumulate the resources? If you think somebody else, the government, this other entrepreneur, this CEO isn't going to do right by having that money, go get it. And once you got it, decide what you want to do with it.
Right.
That's the way I think about it. So when I watch Gary, create his empire and then reinvest it into content and helping other people and running these big events and building companies to inspire entrepreneurship and help, and really like help other people around him become wealthy. I mean, we've seen Gary over the years make concessions for his career for other people.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, even the fact that he helped build his dad's wine shop. Like most people don't know this. He built it to 60 million. He owned none of it.
Yeah.
And was paying himself maybe 100K a year. Dude, I don't pay my CEOs 100K a year if they're generating 60 million a year.
Right.
Dude, that's not how the math works.
Sure.
So he inspires me just the way he shows up. I think Alex and Layla Hermosi, friends of ours, like they do the same thing. They're very much like, how do I use this to create more? How do I buy back my time? Like, because I really think it's about an experience and a leverage thing. Like, wealth should be an opportunity to live a more fully developed life, right? Like, I think the word empire, subtitle of my book, I believe an empire is a life of unlimited creation you never have to retire from. And I think everybody should want to aspire to do that.
Interesting.
Right? Just be a creator. That's why I talk a lot about artists and creators in the book. The book's really meant for people that are starting off, because I don't want them to get the wrong headspace for what it means to be successful. And I try to teach them how to value their time, the math behind it, the value of it, the worthiness. And then allow yourself to, if you have a desire to drive a supercar, don't tame it. If you have a desire to own a jet, don't tame it. There's nothing wrong with that. Live in a beautiful home. I think the number one thing you could ever do for somebody else is inspire them to live a bigger life. And you don't inspire people by playing small.
Again, such a powerful moment with Dan Martell. And our beliefs shape our reality. Again, you hear Joe Dispenza say, our personality is our personal reality. And again, our beliefs shape our behaviors, which create our environment and our reality. And so many of us have negative money beliefs without even realizing it because we haven't really been aware of it and reflected on these beliefs in the past. For example, if you think rich people are evil, you're already setting yourself up to reject wealth subconsciously. Feeling guilty about money or success in your life that guilt holds you back from achieving more and also feeling good about what you've created, what you've worked so hard for. So that's something you need to be mindful of and reflecting on. Are your beliefs blocking you from your abundance? In this next moment, we have the inspiring Jaspreet Singh, who is a wealth teacher and educator who's going to be sharing about the number one shift you can make to build wealth. So let's dive in.
How does someone who has been conditioned for decades around certain money beliefs all of a sudden educate themselves, get the tools, get the information, and say, no, everything I've been taught for the last 20, 30 years of my life is a lie around money.
Yeah.
And therefore, have I been living a lie myself? Am I a fraud? Are these people around that have been telling me this, can I trust them? My parents, your whole world blows up, essentially.
It does.
It blows up. And so how does someone navigate the emotions of, all these things my parents who I love, who are well-intended, have taught me around money, have kind of been holding me back. And I understand they try to protect me, but it's really limited me. How do we deal with that? And then start educating ourselves to break free of money limits, of money scarcity, of money insecurity, so that we can have more financial peace and emotional peace around money.
I think you got to start with this, understanding if somebody doesn't have what it is that you want, you probably shouldn't listen to them on how to get where you want to go. And your parents might have the best intentions. Your family might have the best intentions, but they might not know how to get to where you want to go, right? The common saying is don't listen to a fat person on how to lose weight. Take that for whatever it's worth.
Well, a broke person on how to make money. Yeah.
My parents and a lot of traditional Indian immigrants, you come to a new country like America with very little, you work very hard. Now you want your kids to have a better life. And if you don't have financial education, you're going to say that the best way to do that is go and become a doctor. That's why you see so many Indian people become doctors, is because your parents beat it into you since the day you're one. I'm speaking from 100% experience here, because since I was young, my parents said that I need to go and become a doctor, because if you become a doctor, you're going to, number one, have that doctor title, so you're going to have the status. Someone's going to want to marry you, and you're going to be able to make a lot of money and be rich. But what I learned was there's a disconnect between being a doctor and being financially wealthy. Those are two different things, because we assume that if you go to school, get good grades, you make more money and you become more wealthy. But there's also a difference between making more money and building wealth.
What's the difference between making money and building wealth?
Well, some people who have made millions and millions of dollars died with nothing in their name, died being broke and lived broke. Building wealth is really a matter of time and freedom. And what I mean by that is I can make $1 million a year and be broke, which a lot of people actually are. We're out here not far from Beverly Hills, and a lot of people are making a lot of money but are broke. And I see this all the time because I work in this financial education space where I have met countless doctors, because I talk about this a lot, people who are making $300,000, $400,000, $600,000 a year that have no savings, no investments, and no idea where to start. Because when you start to make more money, you first think, if I had an additional $100,000 a year, oh my God, I could do so many things. Because we think in terms of spending. If I had $10,000 a month, what would I do? Well, I would first go to Cancun. I'd buy myself a nicer car. I'd go on a nicer, whatever. And that's how we consume. That's how we think. We're conditioned to think that way. That America is a consumer nation. We are the largest consumers of things in the world. I like to say that Americans make $1 to spend $2. Traditional Indian mindset people make $1 to spend 20 cents.
Right.
Because they're conditioned to save. Not saying either one of these is right. They're both wrong. But when most people are conditioned to consume and spend, you make more and you spend more. And you might think, well, how can you spend $1 million a year? It's very easy. It is very easy to spend $1 million a year. You start buying some nice homes. You start going on some expensive vacations. You start buying some expensive clothes. And there goes your $1 million a year.
Gone.
And that's what happens to a lot of people. So when we talk about the difference between building wealth and making a lot of money, you got to take the money that you earn and not spend it. And you got to put this to work. And so let me break this down this way. becoming wealthy comes down to 5 steps. And, I've talked about it in many different forms, but I'm going to break down into the simplest root thing you have to understand. Number 1 is you got to earn money. And if people say, how do I earn money? It doesn't matter. It could be a side hustle. It could be a business. It could be a job. You could have some money coming in. Once you make some money, number 2 is you don't spend all of your money. And that means when you make $1,000, you don't spend all $1,000. How much do you spend? Let's not worry about the nitty gritty yet. Just don't spend all of your money.
Well, most people make $1,000 and they spend $1,500.
Yeah.
They use their credit card to spend more than what they have because they think, well, I'll be able to pay this off next month because I have another $1,000 coming in.
Exactly.
And then they get into more and more debt because they're over-consuming.
You'll never build wealth. You'll never get rich. You'll never have any freedom. And so you can't spend all of your money. Which is why number 3 is you take the money you don't spend and you go out and you buy an investment. We'll call it the middleman. And you'll see why I call it the middleman. Is you want to take this money you don't spend and you want to essentially throw it into this thing on the side that will hopefully make you some more money in the long term. Then number 4, when your investment makes money, take the money that your investments make and dump it back into your investments. And then number 5 is work to make more money. And the reason why you're working to make more money is so you can have more investments. Now, let me explain why this is so difficult, because it makes sense in theory, right? You're never going to become wealthy if every time you make $1, you give it to somebody else. If you want to become wealthy, you have to keep more money for yourself. The way that our economic system works is the more money you spend, the richer somebody else gets. It's, hate it or love it, that's the reality. When you go to Chipotle and you buy that extra guac, Chipotle is making more money. When you go to Amazon and you spend more money, Amazon's making money. Now, this can make some people extremely wealthy, but it also keeps the majority of people broke financially. And so this is where, if you want to make yourself rich, you got to stop making everybody else rich right now. You got to first make yourself rich. And that means stop giving other people your money. And there are so many extremes to how you can do this, right? I mean, you could go to that one extreme where I am not going to spend anything. I'm going to live in a shoebox and I'm going to eat nothing but rice and beans. And I'm going to stack all my money. Fine. Other people will find a more balanced approach. And you got to find what's right for you.
Yeah. I'll spend a certain amount on the things I like, but I'm not going to overspend. Or I like it where you just say, I'm going to reinvest a certain amount of my money every single month of the money that's coming in, whether it's a paycheck or your business. I'm going to take that money. This much is going every month into my investments, whatever that might be. And then if I want to spend the rest on a vacation or, extra guacamole or whatever it is, cool. Enjoy your life as well.
Right.
Like, you don't have to live the most frugal life as well. You don't have to be so extreme. But I think first, take your money to invest.
Yeah.
Then spend on some activities and events and go to concerts. Cool. I get it.
And you got to find your balance. For me, I was on an extreme. When I first learned about this, I went extreme because when I was making money first, I was running an event planning company. I didn't know anything about money. I took my money and I bought nice watches and I dumped it back into my car. I mean, that's what I thought was normal. But as you start to learn, you realize, or if you start to become more financially educated, you realize that doesn't do anything for your wealth, right? There's no wealth built into tricking out your car. There's no wealth built into just spending money on nice things. It looks nice and it's nice. If you want to have it, it's fine, but that's not going to make you wealthy. And you got to decide what's more important to you. So then I completely tipped the scale and I started not spending any money. So I'd have more money to invest. For me, it started off in real estate. And now it's this slow process. The reason why it's so difficult is because if you make $10,000, it's a lot of money to put aside, right? I work to make 10 grand, but you can't show off a $10,000 stock market portfolio the way you can a $10,000 watch or a $10,000 vacation. Because I can take those things and I can put it on my Instagram, I can put it on my Facebook, I can put it on TikTok, and I can show these things off, and they get a lot of likes and they get a lot of oohs and ahs. But my stock market portfolio just sits there. Slowly, it'll start to generate a little bit of income. And I think understanding you're going to make a lot of money in your lifetime. I don't care how much money you're making. If you make 50 grand a year, in the next 10 years, you're going to make $500,000. In the next 2 decades, you're going to make $1 million.
Wow.
Assuming you never get another raise. Which means you're going to make millions of dollars over the course of your career, and most people will have nothing to show for it. And when I say most people, I don't say this generally. I mean, statistically, most people will have nothing to show for it. Which means now, as you go through life earning this money, what are you doing it for? Are you doing it to look rich, or are you doing it to actually build wealth? And you got to decide that for you, right? I can't come here and tell you, oh, it's important for you to build wealth, and then you listen to me. You got to decide that for yourself, because you want to take better care of yourself, your wife, your husband, and your kids, and your parents, and you want to have a better future than today.
I'm a big fan of Jaspreet. He has incredible content, and every time we have him on, it just takes off and people love it. And I want to remind you, you don't have to figure everything out on your own. The key is really finding mentors who have models that are successful that you can mimic. People who have already walked the path that you want to take. Don't try to do it all on your own. Reach out to some people who are even just a little bit farther than you who can support you. Surround yourself with people who are where you want to be financially. Their mindset will influence you. And again, that's one of the reasons why we have so many powerful financial leaders and experts on this show, is to give you and provide you free resources and content to help you, even if you don't have access to those individuals in your own city or in your own community. So feel free to come back and check out more of our content with these wealth experts at any time. And every month, ask yourself, how am I using money to invest in my future? Am I wasting money in my life, or am I using it to learn new skills, to overcome challenges, to improve something in my life? Ask yourself this, and make sure you're surrounding yourself with the right money mentors.
Women's health affects more than women. In fact, research from the World Economic Forum and McKinsey suggests that closing the women's health gap could boost the global economy by $1 trillion annually by 2040. Join Dr. Jen Ashton and her guests as they examine the women's health gap through specific topics like maternal health, menopause, heart disease, and more. Listen to the new season of The Visibility Gap, a podcast presented by Cigna Healthcare.
This next guest, Ken Honda, is a money mentor for me, and he's sharing how to align with abundance and let go of scarcity thinking, because so many of us have been in stages of life or seasons of life where we felt scarce, and that feeling, that energy of scarcity does not attract or create abundance. So let's hear from one of my money mentors, Ken Honda, right now.
Once again, we experience life according to our beliefs. And some people have better luck than others. And some people work so hard, but they're getting minimum wages. Mm-hmm. So you have to find your place, your seat, your reserved seat is what I call. A lot of people try to sit on other people's seat, which is wrong, because your seat is reserved somewhere else. And if you don't sit on other people's seat, what happens is that you get so depressed, and then you feel so meaningless, and all that, because you cannot really feel life. But once you sit on your seat, you are so deeply connected with your life purpose. Then you start, your magnetism gets turned on.
So how does someone know where their seat is and know how to sit in it and be happy with their seat?
Yeah, so the only thing is ask your heart. What your heart tells you. If you're excited about it, you're going closer. And it's like hot or cold, right? So if you feel more excited about doing this, this is it, this is it, this is it. So you have to have your heart guide you where you're supposed to be. So always listen to your heart, and then if your heart gets excited about a certain thing, you're just getting closer to your seat.
Do you have a meditation or affirmation process for someone on how they can trust their heart, listen to their heart deeper to know they're on the right path?
Right.
Do you have something that you use yourself or that other people can use?
Yeah, so I always try to have a few minutes, say you're waiting for a car, a Uber, or just waiting for something. I find a few moments and then just try to find my center, and then just go deeper and figure out where I want to go, and just listen to my heart. What does my heart say? Am I excited about this or not? Am I trying to get money? So I'm not excited, but I have to do this to bring money on food on the table. So I always check what my heart tells me.
You're always listening to it. What happens when your heart is not excited? Like let's say you have a project you're working on.
Right.
You're working. I'm assuming all of your books you're excited about, but maybe there's an event you're supposed to go to, or I don't know, something that you said yes to, and you realize your heart is not excited about this. What do you do then? Do you do it, but then you don't repeat it the next time, or how do you navigate that?
So I want to be a nice person. So once I said yes, I'll do it.
Yeah.
But I try to be very careful with what I say when I say yes. So I have a great team. So they'll just check.
You. Yeah.
They'll check, even because I want to be nice to everybody. So I'm likely to say yes too many times. So my secretary and my team says, Ken, are you sure about this? Yeah, probably not. So can you come up with something?
Well, I'm glad you're here and you didn't reschedule this interview.
Yeah. So, but in general, I'm trying to listen to my heart.
That's good.
That let me hear.
I think a lot of people don't understand the power of a daily affirmation or a daily check-in with yourself, just like you talked about for 2 minutes. For someone that doesn't believe in affirmations, what would you say to them?
So even if you don't believe it, you must be saying something to yourself. Like, this is a terrible day. It's so hot. I don't like this. So subconsciously, you're saying something about your life or about yourself, about your friends or about your clients. Oh, I hate working with this person, something like that. So I think it's a affirmation by itself. So just write down what are the things that you say to yourself subconsciously. You can probably figure out.
Right.
And is that a happy thought? And then, unfortunately, a lot of the things that we talk to ourselves are negative.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you want to feed negative thoughts like this? Or do you want to pour more positive thoughts? You have a choice. But unless you write them down, you never know it. And then you may find that the reason why you get depressed, because I keep
all these negative thoughts
about life. No wonder I feel depressed. So if all the things you talked about about you are positive and loving, it's what you get.
Yeah, exactly. And can you tell me how we can think about money as energy? In the book also, I saw you writing about how money is energy. And sometimes people try to make it and hold on to it. They want to hold on to it. They want to stack it in their bank as high as they can go. And they don't want to spend it. Sometimes that happens. What happens when we hoard money, when we keep it and we don't let it come and go as energy? What happens?
So I have seen so many interesting things. Like when if you hoard your money, a few things happen. You get sick, and then you have to pay for the medical bills.
Really?
Yeah. Or like your kids do something bad, and then you have to pay for the damage. So money needs outlet. So it's so interesting how money flows. And if you don't let out your money energies outlet, it's gonna get bad. It's like a pond. If there's no flow, the water gets bad.
Right.
It's like, think about your health. If you eat and don't go to the bathroom,
you get sick.
What's gonna happen?
Yeah.
So to stay healthy, you have to eat right. You have to release right.
Yes.
So for hoarding money, I want to ask them, you're eating so much, but what if you refuse? I'm not going to go to the bathroom, for the rest of my life.
Oh my gosh, you'd be sick. Yeah,
right. And you
explode.
And you cannot eat well. Yeah. So you have to let your money flow, and then the next flow comes in. So here comes money EQ, the trust part. Trust is the hardest part of money EQ. You have to have the trust that once you let go of money, it comes back. So you don't have the trust. That's why you start worrying. That's why you have doubts about yourself. So instead of attaching to your money, you can say, thank you for staying with me. Just Go bless the world and come back with your friends as soon as possible.
Come back. Thank you for being here. Go bless the world. Come back as quickly as possible with more friends.
Right. So it's kind of fun, right?
Sure.
So it's a metaphor. So in your mind, letting go, if you let go fast, it's going to come back fast. So I'm trying to let go of money.
Really?
Yes.
So, how should people be thinking about this so they have enough safety and security? They have enough in the bank for if something goes bad in the economy. They've saved enough, but also they're not just overspending as well. Because some people who have the personality where they just spend,
Yes.
then they go into debt, right? So how do we balance money so that we have enough for, the future?
Yeah.
And we're not in debt.
So that's I'm so fascinated with couple counseling and sometimes family counseling. We're trying to have balance. That's what's so beautiful about humankind. Somehow the spender gets married with moneymaker.
Right. Right. Someone's making all the money and someone loves to spend it all.
Right. And so they come in and this person is spending so much money. No, you're making too much money. So you have no time for me. That's why I'm trying to get the stress out by spending money.
Wow.
So you have to have the balance. That's where Zen comes in.
Interesting.
If you're spending too much, you have to start saving. If you're saving too much, you have to start spending. So the prescription I give to each client is different. For some people, the savers, I said, withdraw $1,000 and spend it for nothing in 24 hours.
They probably freak out like,
No, they are okay to the withdrawing part. And so the next few days, a week later, they came back and said, Ken, I withdrew $1,000.
I didn't spend it.
But I spent like $20.
Oh, man.
Because they cannot waste their money. It's against their constitution.
I know people like that. So what should people be spending their money on?
Right.
So they don't feel like I'm just blowing money and wasting it.
I know. So like a moneymakers, they think, is this a good investment?
Yes.
So don't think about it because just enjoy the money flow. You can give it to people. You can throw it away on the floor because somebody's going to pick it up and make somebody very happy. So you can be creative with money. But we are taught from a young childhood that you have to take care of money well. Just what if you just throw your $100 bills on the street? What would your mother say?
Right.
Right. So, but for exercises, I tell people, can you throw away your money? And they show me the expression as if I'm saying you're gonna die in 10 minutes. Like,
wow.
They're going like, So I enjoy so much.
What happens with your clients when you say, okay, go spend a few $100s today or leave money out on the table for someone to pick it up and you do these experiments? What do these individuals say afterwards, a month later, a year later, about giving their money or spending it, not all of it, but some of it in these experiments?
So they realize how much attachment they had toward money. And it's in here. And by the way, my finding shows that the saver type, the people who have attachment for money, tend to have this problem physically. They get constipation.
Constipated, yeah.
So there is that. So they have a hard time letting go of money.
And their waste, their food.
Because they're attached to it.
What happens when we are attached to money?
I think the flow of energy gets stopped. So if you let go of money easily, the more opportunities come easily. But because you cannot let go of money, you cannot receive. So if you let go easily, the more to come. So those people are losing out opportunities. So say I had a friend in my 20s when I asked him to go out and have some fun. And he said, no, I don't want to do that because it's going to cost something. Say, $50 or $100 for a party, right? But just look at what he's missing. He's missing out the opportunity of meeting new people. Yeah. Like I met many great mentors by attending very expensive seminars. I attended like $200 seminar. At the time, it felt like $1 million.
Yes.
But since I was the only student at the time to attend a business seminar, everybody loved me. So $200.
Oh, it's so cool that you're here with all these older people and you decided to show up. Let's mentor you.
Yeah. So I was like a little toy. Sure. Like, okay, I want to just play with you. So that was a great investment, for example. So if you let go of money easily, you get so much. So why don't you think of letting go of money and also as almost like a shopping for your memories?
Shopping for memories.
Yeah, because I didn't have to fly. I'm going around the world this time. I'm just meeting up a lot of people. It costs some money, right? But by spending so much money on hotels and airplane, look what I'm having. I'm having such a great time.
Yes.
And
you have experiences, life memories.
Yeah. So when I'm in a senior home sometime in the future, I think of having this conversation with you and meeting up a lot of great people in the world. So I have full of memories. So if you don't spend the money, you don't get all the fun memories.
Right.
Again, Ken talks about letting your heart guide to where you are supposed to be. Let your heart guide you where you're supposed to be. And sometimes when we feel anxious around money, when we feel scarce around money, it traps our heart. We need to learn to calm that so we can be guided and make sure we're in alignment of doing the right things that work for us around our money instead of doing things that are harmful around our money. The daily affirmations that you share with yourself matter. You're telling yourself a story about money every day. Why not make it a positive one? Start speaking positive affirmations internally or externally. Start writing things that are positive and communicating things to other people that are positive as well. Money isn't just about numbers. Money is energy. And if you're constantly stressed about it, that energy repels abundance and constantly creates more of that scarce feeling. So trust that when you let go of scarcity thinking, money finds its way back to you. In this next moment, we have Rob Dial, who's going to be sharing about the power of writing an empowering story to attract more in your life.
Someone's broke and they want more money.
Yeah.
How can they create a story, a narrative, a script, or a story that will empower them to attract more?
I am committed today to working off to make more money. I am committed to taking the actions necessary to make more money in my bank account in the future. I am committed to losing 40 pounds over the next 12 months. Even though I've never done it before, I'm going to change the person who I am to make sure that I do that. And so it's not about like sitting there and meditating and just imagining the money coming into your bank account. It's how can you make it true, present tense, and empowering. Today, I am committed to taking the action I need to in order to make more money in my bank. Today, I am committed to making the action I need to make my children feel like I love them, to make them feel more love that I maybe haven't been giving them over the past couple of years because I've been so busy working.
Right.
And so it's literally about how can you make it true, empowering, and present tense? Because when it's true, like you might not have money in your bank account right now, but I will take the action today to eventually bring more money into my bank account. Because usually money doesn't immediately come to you. Usually it's like a lagging indicator of the actions you've taken in the past. So today I'm going to take the actions that I need to, knowing that the money will be coming to me at some point in time.
What do you think causes people to stay in procrastination mode for long periods of time? What is that reason they stay in procrastination?
Yeah. So when I look at procrastinating, I remember I was talking with one of my salespeople, and we were talking about this lady, and he's like, "Well," I was like, "So what was her problem when you had the sales call?" And the problem he said was she procrastinates too much. And I said, "That's not the problem." And what's the problem? And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "The problem is not procrastination. The problem is a symptom of a cause." It's like, for instance, it's the downstream effect of something else. Procrastination is almost always the downstream effect of identity or fear. And that's really what it comes down to, is the reason why you're procrastinating is because you either don't think that you can do it, or you're procrastinating because you're afraid of something else that's coming in the future. If I were to be able to, if we had a light switch on the side, like a little switch on the side of our head, and we could turn off our amygdala of in the thing that creates fears in our brain, and we just say, okay, I have no fear, I can just take action, everybody would have the life that they want to. Nobody would procrastinate, right? And so it really comes down to that. That's the first thing is the fears and identity. And the other thing is the reason why somebody's doing something. And so like one of my things when I used to give a lot of talks, I used to love doing this, is I would say, you go into a company and everyone makes like $40, $50, $75,000 a year, $100,000 a year. And I would sit in front of people and I would say, everybody here, what is the percent? And this is very drastic. I know everybody who's listening, but this is very drastic for you to be able to hear, right? I would say, hey, what's the percentage chance of you making $1 million in the next 12 months? And everyone would be like 0%, 0%. And I would say legally too.
Right.
$1 million legally, like not go sell drugs, but $1 million legally in the next 12 months. And people would be like 0%, 0%, 1%, 2%. There'd always be like one person who really believes himself. They're like 5%. And I said, okay, let me change it up just a little bit. What's the percentage chance of you making $1 million this year? And if you don't, everyone that you love dies. Everybody goes 1,000%, 100%, 100%, 100%. And I said, hold on then. The time frame didn't change. The goal didn't change. What changed is that you actually care. You actually have a why behind it. And I would say, would you ever, if your children's life, if your wife's life, your mother's life depended on it, would you procrastinate? No, you wouldn't. You would just do what needs to be done because the fear of losing them is greater than the fear of being judged or the fear of failure.
Right.
And so I think that procrastination is never the problem. It's always the downstream effect of something else, which is either they don't have a why that's strong enough, their identity is holding them back from thinking that they can't be a person that can achieve it, or they have too many fears that are just holding them back from taking it.
Yeah, and I think you got to have the why that's strong enough is the main thing because, whether it's $1 million or 100,000 or whatever the number is, do you want that thing bad enough and why do you want it? If it's the $1 million as the example, why do you need that? And why can't you be happy with where you're at? Or, whatever it might be. And do you need that to impress people? Or is it because you have a greater purpose you want to use that money for, right? Because you want to build a company, you want to empower people, you want to donate it. So you have to understand why you want something and be clear that it's not just serving ego, but it's serving something greater than you. I think that's when the river opens up.
Yep.
And it widens and all the boulders go away when you say, I want this thing for me, but also so I can serve or empower others.
For sure.
Then it's like the Mississippi, it's wide. This is the biggest river there is. And, but when it's only for you, I feel like later down the line, you're going to hit a dam.
Of course you are.
You might attract what you want, but then eventually get blocked up because it's all about you as opposed to about others, including you.
Yeah. And you can make money when it's all about you.
Yes.
Many people do it.
Doesn't mean you're going to be happy.
Right. That's usually the problem, right? Because you get to a point, this is what I really think about all the time is that how many successful people, and it's so sad, get to being ridiculously successful and then commit suicide. Like there's many that have done it. And so, there could be mental health issues to that, but I think a lot of them think when I get to the top of the mountain, then I'll finally be happy. But it's always about like, it's not the top of the mountain. It's not the destination that's going to make you happy. It's about finding your happiness in the journey to get you to where you want to be.
Yeah.
And if someone's like, I want to make money for me, you can definitely do it. There's definitely people in this world that do that. But what I've found that was really surprising to me is that some of the most successful people I know are the most giving people I know. And it's almost as if God or the universe has been like, hey, I trust you because I've seen that you're a good steward of this money. You're a good steward of what I've been giving to you. I'm going to give you more of it. Like, let's talk about money real quick because I think is important is this is the way I like to give it as an analogy, right? Let's say you have a toy and you have two different children, right? You have child A and you give him like a red toy truck and he's like, red? I hate red. This is blue. Like this is my favorite color is blue. And it's like trucks. I don't even like trucks. I like cars. And you're like, well, I don't have any other toy. And he's like, fine. And he goes and plays with it and he messes with it and he slams it into other toys and complains about how it's not the one that he wanted. And then when it's time to go eat, he leaves his toys all over the place, right? Say that's child A. Child B might be blue might be the favorite color. Blue might be the favorite color and they might like cars more than they like trucks, right? But you give it to him and he says, thank you. And he goes and plays with it and he plays with it nicely. And when another kid comes up, he shares, oh, can I play with your toy? Yeah, here you go. And the kid comes up, he's like, no, this is my truck, right? He's like, yeah, you can play with it. Then when it becomes time to go to dinner, they take their toys and they put them away. If you had the option, the next time you have a toy, who would you give it to?
Right.
You'd give it to the kid who took care of it, right?
Was grateful, appreciated it.
Shared it, took care of it, was a good steward of it. Now imagine we flip that and God is the one who has the toy. The toy is money, and it's either your person A or your person B. Most people, when they get their paycheck, I was this person for years. I get my paycheck, be like, it's still not enough. It's not enough. And I'm literally, from the moment I see my paycheck, bringing in negative energy towards money. And I'm like, it's still not enough. It's not as much as I want. I don't know if I could pay my bills with this. This is crap. And then what do? I share it with anybody? I don't give anybody any of that money, and I hoard it. Do I take care of it? No, I complain about I don't have enough. I don't enjoy it. I don't share it. I waste it. I buy stupid stuff. And then you see on the other side, someone who gets their paycheck, and this is a big thing that I changed in myself like 7 years ago. Anytime that I would get a payment, because what's cool about building business online is you can get payments at random times. I would get a payment, and I realized that I was for the longest time child A. I would complain about not having enough money. The amount of times my bank account was overdrafted over, like I didn't even have $0. I had negative dollars in my bank account many times in my life, And I switched it to every time I started seeing a payment come in, I would close my eyes and I'd see the person's name and I would say, John, thank you so much. God, thank you so much for bringing this into my life. I hope that I can make some sort of transformation. And I just wanted to bring that energy to it. And then I started changing to try to be more like child B, where then I started sharing it more. And I realized that the more that I share it, the more that I'm grateful for it, the more that I take care of it, the more that I learn about how to be smart with my money, the more I've been trusted with more. And I think that's the difference, is that most people go on the path of child A, and I was there for a very long time. And I went to child B, which is I'm going to be grateful for whatever comes in. If I see a penny on the floor, I'm going to pick it up, because if I can't be trusted with a little, I can't be trusted with a lot. I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to put it in my pocket. I'm going to say, thank you for giving me this, universe. I appreciate it. I appreciate the small amounts. I appreciate the big amounts, because I'm going to appreciate the small amounts, the big amounts. I'm going to share it whenever I can share it. And I'm going to try to be the best steward of my money that I can. And what's crazy is, it just like you said, it's like the river just widened, because there was now more space for me to be able to be a good steward for it.